Six takeaways from Cory Bookers Town Hall. Senior Cory Booker in his first opportunity to connect with a wider swath of the Democratic electorate, Booker, who has lagged behind the more familiar frontrunners in most early polls, criticized Trump's policies and personal attacks, pledging to lead with love, kindness, and a relentless message of unity across the political divide. Asked about Robert Mueller's investigation, LGBTQ rights, faith, and the increasingly tense debate over the decision in Chicago not to charge actor Jussie Smollett in connection with accusations that he falsely reported a hate crime against himself, Booker vowed not to surrender. Democratic leadership in Washington, along with the party's primary contenders out on the campaign trail, have been hesitant to consider any attempt to impeach Trump. Booker is no exception. Asked on Wednesday to describe the circumstances under which he might back an effort to remove the president, the senator punted the question to Robert Mueller, or rather, the still unseen findings delivered by the special counsel last week after nearly 2 years of investigating Trump and his 2016 campaign. The detailed results of the Mueller investigation remain under lock and key at Justice Department, nearly a week after they arrived. Attorney General This. Booker's answer to a question on Smollett, the actor who was accused of staging a hate crime against himself until charges were dropped against him, spoke volumes about his approach to 2020. He carefully and quickly addressed Smollett before castigating Trump. The answer was vastly different than what he said shortly after the initial Smollett news broke earlier this year. On Wednesday, after delivering his answer on Smollett, he pivoted toward Trump, saying the president is complicit in the rise of white supremacist violence because he fails to. The Department of Homeland Security, in 2017, cut grant money for some organizations to counter violent extremism, including nearly a dozen that the Obama administration considered worthy of receiving the funds. Booker continued. Booker expressed frustration on Wednesday that the debate in Democratic primary circles surrounding reparations, or compensation, in some form, for the descendants of slaves, has been reduced. He was talking about his bill to create so-called baby. Booker also said he supported H.R. 40, legislation known as the Reparations Study Act, which would empanel experts to, as it states, examine other candidates, like Massachusetts Senior Elizabeth Warren. And Booker made a politically relevant and possibly foreshadowing comment on Wednesday night when she slammed what he called horrible. The most notable of those bills was the Violent Crime Control and Law Enforcement Act in 1994, a bill that former Vice President Joe Biden authored during his time as a senator from Delaware. Bernie Sanders, The comment is significant because Sanders and Inslee are currently Booker's 2020 opponents, and Biden could be shortly, as he is said to be eyeing an April announcement that he, too, is running for president. The 1990s crime bill is set to be a key issue in the 2020 election, much like it was during the 2016 race, when liberals slammed Hillary Clinton for supporting the bill, which was signed by her husband, former President Bill Clinton, who said he made mass incarceration worse during his time in office. Booker took an issue that all Democrats talk about, guns, and made it personal on Wednesday night. The African-American senator did so by noting that the rate of black men killed in homicides far outpaces their share of the population, and spoke about gun violence in Newark, a city that is central to his political rise. Booker also invoked Shahad Smith, a 28-year-old man who was killed in Newark in 2018, who Booker says he personally knew. Booker went on to pledge to take on the National Rifle Association and said he is frustrated. Enough. Because this issue is nearly universal among Democrats, the ability to personalize guns could set Booker apart from the field. Both Booker and actress Rosario Dawson have been public about their relationship in recent weeks, but on Wednesday night, the New Jersey Democrat opened up about how he met the actress, describing her as an incredible. Booker said he first met Dawson at a political fundraiser for Ben Gillis, former NAACP leader who ran for governor of Maryland in 2018. She. He described Dawson as simply she. When CNN's Don Lemon asked about whether a White House wedding could be in the future, Booker demurred. Well.
Raindrop, drop top smoking, no cooking the hot bar. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park.